Okay, welcome to Fresh Set of Downs. My name is Bruce Badgley. As always, I've got Mr. EasternPAFootball.com, Dave Mika alongside. We've got a jam-packed show with, top performers, power rankings, and we're going to take a look at not only our individual power rankings, but then each one of the district's power rankings, game reviews, and everything else. So, Dave, welcome, man. I mean, another big week, and we're halfway through the season.
I know it's crazy, isn't it?
I can't believe it.
We're going into week 6 and just it goes by so fast.
Yeah, it really does. And I guess that's the bad part is that, everything is always forward thinking in football, it seems like.
Hmm.
There's very little dwelling on the past. You're always looking forward. And that's the same thing as we get ready for the season. And once we're in the season, my gosh, it just goes by so quickly. What are some of your overriding thoughts about the season so far? The single biggest thing for me has been, at least in the eastern part of the state, we've had pretty good weather this year for the games.
Yeah, definitely in the east side. I know in the west they've had,
We've had
some
some
bad,
delays and
yeah,
cancellations.
bad delays, cancellations. They may make up games at the end of the regular season. So we've been pretty lucky. You know, a lot of good football, in the East. And um, hey, now every week is really going to count towards those district ratings.
Yeah, and that's why we'll start taking a look at that here. At least every other, I think every other week, and obviously we've got top performers. And why don't we just go ahead and just jump right in here?
Yeah.
Um, And I want to thank everybody for stopping by here. Fresh set of downs. And we really had some pretty incredible games last week. I just want you to talk a little bit about this Schuylkill Haven Minersville. Are you kidding me? I mean, what has it been with like District 11 and scoring this year?
Yeah. This was a Thursday night game, um, back and forth basketball score. Schuylkill Haven wins 72-52. They rushed for 531 yards in that game and zero passing yards. Um, their star running back, Nico, I'm sure I'm gonna get his last name wrong, but Kerstia had 22 carries, 274 yards, 7 touchdowns, including 6 2-point conversions. He also had a big sack, recovered a fumble, and made some big defensive stops on key fourth downs midway through the fourth quarter. So that kid did it all on both sides of the ball. And then on the other side, we've talked about him week after week. Minerville's quarterback, Dante Carr, over 400 yards passing, 3 touchdowns, over 140 yards rushing, 4 more scores, and he had 2 receivers go over 140 yards in that game. Minersville had over 600 total yards in that game. I mean, you saw a game that had over 1,100 yards of offense. Incredible.
Yeah, it was incredible. We've had some of these really wild scoring games with like, Notre Dame Green Pond and now Schuylkill Haven and Minersville just seem to be, going off the charts there. Is it that much better on offense? And or is it that much poorer on defense? If you know what I'm saying. But you're saying they didn't throw the ball, they ran the ball. So
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of crazy, but gosh, these offensive lines, and I know that when we were talking with Mike Farr, we see Mike a lot, the Schuylkill Haven head coach in the offseason. And he was frothing at the mouth. He really thought that this team was going to be good, and they're really showing that they are.
Yeah, and we'll kind of touch on them later in a matchup they have later. But this is a team that since week one, lost against a 4A team, Blue Mountain. Their lowest scoring game was 57 points. They've hit that 70-point plateau twice. So they are just putting unbelievable numbers. And listen, they're going to line up, they're going to run at you. They have several backs, two Nikos. They could just come at you in waves, and really, they're going to wear teams down and just keep pounding that ball.
They sure are. And speaking of pounding that ball, Strathaven and their running attack as well proved to be way too much for Garnet Valley.
Yeah, I mean, going into the game, it was a battle of 4-0 teams. Strathaven comes out with a convincing 35-14 win. And the star of the game, James Fisher, over
Yeah.
178 yards rushing, career best 4 rushing touchdowns. So Strathaven, they're looking pretty good at the midway part.
Yeah, and I think after this win here, Tamaqua got ranked by Penn Live, like in the state rankings. They kind of did a number on Salisbury. Those were two teams that Tamaqua remains undefeated.
Yeah, I mean, Tamaki was a nice little surprise. They had players coming back, but 5-0 at the midway point. Victor Schlosser had 3 catches for touchdowns in that game. Luke Kane added a pair of rushing touchdowns to go with 105 yards throwing in that game. But just an overall convincing win by Tamaqua.
And a team with a convincing win, Mount Carmel over Montoursville. I think everybody thought this game was going to be pretty close, but the Red Tornado had other ideas.
Yeah, I mean, you thought this game would be close. The last 2 games Mount Carmel played, back-to-back 1-point victories. Their quarterback Gavin threw for over 216 yards, 3 touchdowns, all of them going to their star receiver, Jalen Delaney. He had 8 catches, 103 yards, and really that was the story of the game.
Yeah, incredible. And wow, Scranton Prep, a 3A school, puts a whooping on Scranton, a 6A school. They're 43-0. That's the second shutout of the year for Prep.
Yeah, I mean, Scranton was going into this game undefeated, battle Scranton, but Scranton Prep had other ideas. Their offense was clicking. They had over, I think, 300 yards rushing in that game. But hey, their defense pitched a shutout, and as impressive as their offense was, their defense was just as impressive in that game.
Yeah, clearly. And wow, it came down to
Last
last
play.
second here,
Yeah.
and CB South. They win the CB Cup 22-17 over CB West. I mean, just an incredible finish to a fantastic rivalry game.
Yeah, I mean, we had our reporter there. They were trailing by one going in, late in the game. They were on the Bucks 39, and Owen Pinkerton rolled left and just launched that ball in the corner of the end zone, and Danny Geis uh, somehow made the catch with no
Yeah,
time
he had
left.
guys there draped all over him. I mean, it was pretty
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah, I saw the video on Twitter, and South comes away with a 22-17 win. They remain unbeaten. They're 5-0 and 2-0 in their league. So impressive, impressive win.
Liberty and Deriff showed up undefeated, and Liberty came out with just a really convincing win, 42-0.
Yeah, and I think I kind of predicted this last week that Liberty would win pretty handily. Listen, Dare, at that point just hasn't played anyone competitive at that point, but they're having a tremendous year. And hey, we'll see at the end if they could somehow slip in to district or maybe Eastern Conference playoffs. But yeah, again, the story of Liberty was you start with their quarterback Antonio Fontanez. I think he threw for over 100 yards, had one touchdown pass, rushed for 33 yards in the score. Their running back Gabe Green had over 100 yards rushing, two touchdowns. Jake Puxon, their standout receiver, 5 catches, 91 yards. Just a overall impressive win by Liberty.
Yeah, absolutely. And down here, District 3 country, really a big Lancaster Lebanon League Section 1 showdown. Wilson hangs on over Cedar Crest, came down to a goal line stand. The difference in that one. And Wilson now, kind of on track. They're hanging in there. They had one tough loss, and there to
Nazareth.
Nazareth. And beyond that, they're kind of like in the honorable mentions for the state. Wilson's got it going on so far this year.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, you touched on the Bulldogs used the goal line stance in the final minutes. They secured it on an interception to hold on for that 14-7 win. But again, the story is their quarterback, Maddox Gruber. He had over 130 yards passing, two touchdowns. He got the game sealing interception to seal the game. So this is the guy that's doing it on both sides of the ball.
Yeah, it's amazing. I tell you, the athleticism that Wilson has shown so far has been, pretty impressive. That is for sure. So moving on to our top performers, didn't have a lot of changes, quite
No.
honestly, in passing and rushing. Again, on the rushing side, Mr. Brown there for Montour Votech, wow, nailing down, three of the five spots, and still
And
Matt Bodner with that 600-yard game. That's going to be tough to top.
and Brown just had 190 yards last week, so he's just racking up the points and yardage for
Yeah,
them.
absolutely. And let's see here. So our receiving, as far as top performers, really, not a lot of changes there. Did have something on the interception return there. I know Justice Hardy had a big one in Wyomissing's win over
78
Elko,
yards.
and Hardy is just not a defensive guy. Quite honestly, he's no more for offense than he is defense.
Yeah, and also Jackson Kobe's from Downington West,
Right.
98 yarder for a touchdown, which is number two
Yeah.
so far this year. But yeah, that was really the only changes this week in our top five t top performers. But these guys are putting up impressive numbers.
Yeah. Absolutely. Field goals.
So Matthew Parker leading the way
Yeah.
from Central York. You look at those top three, top four, all four of those guys are legit top kickers in Eastern PA, and some might be some of the top kickers in the state. So, it's not surprising that they are listed, up in the top five rankings.
Yeah, absolutely. So why don't we've got our power rankings here. I thought maybe what we would do is kind of shift gears and go over to the individual um, district rankings and then kind of roll into our, power rankings
Yeah,
then
sure.
for what we think, on an aggregate basis there. We have our buddy Bob Long help us out on that. But we're going to take a look. You've got a nice page set up on the website where anybody can go in and access all of the district power rankings. And we're going to go ahead and I thought I had that pulled up. Darn, I don't know what happened to that here. We're going to hang on here a second while I access that.
A little minor glitch.
Just a little minor glitch here, but we'll here we go. I think we got that pulled up here now. So hopefully we can access this on the program. So we'll pull that up and here we go.
All
All
right.
right, there we go. Come heck or high water, we're going to get these power rankings. So let's take a look at District 1 first. I mean, this is predominantly, they're going to be much more heavy on the 6A, 5A side. And we can see here right off the bat that, it's North Penn, Downingtown West, CB South. Now, the top 16 get
Top
in
16.
here,
Yeah.
but we can see, I mean, kind of the last one there, Plymouth White Marsh at 3-2. Quakertown, who's been pretty tough over the last couple years, Coatesville, they're all hanging in there. But you can
Hmm.
see there's this gigantic mosh pit between 3 and 2, and 2 and 3 there. So that's gonna be some real difficulty, down the stretch, I think, for a lot
Yeah,
of
and
teams.
these rankings are going to change. We have 5 games left. But this is the point in time in the season where you see everyone starting to post these statistics, and slowly as the next couple weeks go, we're gonna have a pretty good idea who might be in and who might be out.
But the top three there you can see pretty easily: North Penn, Downingtown West, and a CB South. They're on the 6A side. So let's scroll down a little bit. I believe the 5A is just right below us here, which it is. And surprising, it's very tight there between Springfield, Delco, Strathaven, who we just talked about, Westchester, Ruston. Um, some of these 5A teams, quite honestly, they're button heads with a lot of 6A conference opponents now.
Absolutely. And we touched about Rustin, playing Downington West. They get that victory that could move them up to maybe the top spot, if not, jump ahead of Strathaven. But arguably, they are the 3 teams that I think have a great shot to make districts.
Interesting to me, Chester all the way down to number 12. Um, which is very interesting. But remember, this is only through week 5.
Yeah.
There's going to be a lot of changes here. Just a few teams in 4A, but Pope John Paul II leading the way there. Bishop
Yeah.
Shanahan. These are teams, quite honestly, that because they're playing these high quality 5A and 6A opponents, that are really going to shine as we get into the postseason.
Yeah, and then 2A, 1A, they'll be playing with against other districts, Bristol, New Hope, Morrisville, Jenkintown, those programs. Hey, how about Mooresville? They won also on a late field goal. I did tweet it. I think it's from 2006 is the last time Mooresville has been 4-1.
Wow.
So hats off to their program. They're off to a great start.
Wow. Really interesting there. Um, and that. So we'll go ahead and pull up some of the other ratings here. Let's go ahead. We are going to go ahead and try District 2 here now. How about that? I think that might work for us. So we'll pull up District 2 and share that here. And there we go. And so we can see here's some of the 1A, Lackawanna Trail, Nativity. I mean, we haven't really been talking about them too much, but they're 4-1 hanging
Yeah.
in there.
Yeah, and obviously, this is going to be a District 211 Region 1A and you know those probably top three any given week could probably knock each other off. So that's definitely going to be a interesting bracket to watch this year.
Yeah, Valley View leading the way um, in 4A there, quite honestly. 3A Western Wayne, Scranton Prep at 4-1. My gosh, it's hard to imagine that they're not ranked number one after that thrashing of Scranton there. And look at the Millionaires there, number one there in 6A.
Yeah, and again, a couple of those teams will be in the District 2 411 sub-region. How many District 2 4 get, we'll see. But I think Williamsport is in a good position along with Scranton to possibly get into that, District 2 411 region.
Uh-huh. Yeah, absolutely. Um, all right, well, let's go ahead and let's see what we can find here on the
And again, if anyone wants to access it, they could go on the main page. It's right on there, and it'll be up there every week.
yeah, absolutely. Um, all right, well, it looks like I had an issue there with that. Sorry about that. I'll see if I
Okay.
can't get that back up there again for us. But um, I guess the next one that we want to take a look at, Dave, is District 3.
Yeah.
And there's such a, mosh pit of teams involved in District 3 there that, we've got all six classifications there. And it is going to be really difficult, I think, for a lot of teams to gain a foothold just because there is so much competition in District 3 in all classifications.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's gonna be interesting to see. While you're working to try to get that up, I
I
wanted
got
to
that.
mention a couple milestones and records. Stone Saunders, six
Oh,
touchdown passes, ties Alex Irby for career passing touchdowns with 176. So look for him to break that record next week. And Schuylkill Haven going back to that game with that win Thursday, they joined the 600 win club, which is a impressive number. And
wow.
Mount Carmel's kicker, Bobby Shoopy, kicked two field goals, had five PATs, total 11 points, which is most ever at Mount Carmel. So there's some milestones and records from this past weekend.
So taking a look at District 3, with the kind of step up of Steel High into 2A,
Yeah.
really only three teams there. in the A classification. In 2A now,
Well,
you know,
actually, two now, because Fairfield announced, I think today or yesterday,
okay.
that they are going to forfeit the rest of the
Oh,
season. Just don't have the players, enough players, and for the health reason of the players, unfortunately, they're gonna have, and it's not only been this year, it's been several years for them that they're just so close that, they've had to forfeit games. So,
wow.
yeah,
Incredible. But in 2A, I mean, that's pretty tough company there at the top between Lancaster Catholic, Camp Hill, and Steel High. They're playing a lot of teams of higher classification there, is the reason for the losses. But going to be really interesting. District 3, I believe, will take four teams in 2A, which they do, yes. So the top four there. Upper Dauphin, a little bit down this year, but that's a team that normally performs admirably, especially in the postseason. 3A, Trinity, Bermudian Springs, Buchanan, and the Canners from
yeah,
Biglerville.
Biglerville, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, off to a great start there.
Yeah, I think to me I would kind of give the early favorite to Trinity, but we'll see how it shakes out and down the road.
4A in District 3 has it's just been incredible competition so far. Why I'm Missing has moved up from 3A. You still have LS, West
Yeah.
York, and East York. I mean, coming out of nowhere to be 5-0 so far. They actually play this week, which is interesting.
Mm,
Um, and then Twin Valley, the kind of the new kid on the block in 4A and District 3, and statewide, Penn Live ranked them number one in the state today
wow.
in 4A. So that's really something there with Twin Valley. Brett Myers, former Middletown coach, has taken over that program and just done wonders. Susquehanna Township and West Perry, I mean, still very good teams. I mean, my gosh.
I have a
4A district.
feeling, yeah, and I have a feeling this list is going to change
Oh
weekly,
my.
and what we see now may not be like this in 2 weeks. So, a lot of good quality teams at that 4A.
5A. Wow, look at here. You've got one, two, three, six undefeated teams. Um, I've seen Wiser and Exeter Township, uh, and both of those are just the depth of talent here in 5A as well. When you add Bishop McDevitt in there too, holy cow!
Yeah.
Cocalico, who is the two-time defending District 3 5A champion, in there as well. Kudos to Rob Flowers and Muhlenberg now at 3-2. Getting back to relevancy and that. But I tell you what, 5A and District 3, what a minefield.
Yeah, a lot of good programs.
And then we move up to 6A, Manheim Township, CD East, who actually cracked my power rankings last week. Um, in there, Dallas Town, and we'll talk about them in a little bit. And then we talked about Wilson, Harrisburg, Central York. Oh
Whew.
my gosh. I mean, just, yeah, brutal is right. Um, and yeah,
That
so
that's why each week right now is so important for some of these classifications because you might have two losses and not make districts, which is just to show how competitive it is.
yeah, it is enormously competitive. And so we'll go ahead and take a look at District 11 here for our final tour. So let me get that pulled up here.
And don't forget
And
District
in
4.
your country there.
Yeah.
And there we go. Should have the different. There's District 11. Oh,
Yeah,
right.
well,
District 11. Right. Correct.
yeah, and
And
we
this
kind
is
of
a,
already touched
yeah.
on 1A, but you have 4A there, Blue Mountain, a team that only team to beat Schuylkill Haven this year in a close game, Southern Lehigh. I think then Bethlehem Catholic, Allentown Central Catholic. Those four programs, it's gonna be interesting to see what happens. Becca, Central obviously play a lot of 6A schools, so that might be why their records are like that. But I think hey, Blue Mountain holds that top seed and have the home field advantage. Anything can happen.
Yeah, you can see the 3A Tamaqua, Northwest Lehigh, Notre Dame Green Pond, North Schuylkill. I mean, at Saucon Valley having a good season so far.
Yeah, and again, 3A's is loaded in District 11 like it usually is, but um, Northwestern Lehigh, um, they're looking like they did last year. They are on a mission, and I think they want to win districts, goal number one, win state playoff games, goal number two, get to Cumberland Valley and finish
Yeah,
it. I think that's their goal.
yeah, yeah. It is. It's one that quite honestly, quite attainable. I think, quite honestly, that the 3A, even with the fact that Central Valley out of the Whitfield is now, kind of falling back into the 3A. They had won two consecutive 3A championships, and then they got moved up to 4A. Now they're back down to 3A. Boy, they're looking awful tough again. But and on the 6A side here in District 11, wow. I mean, Liberty, Freedom, Parkland, Easton, um, all playing good football.
Listen, and you look at we touched on Deriff, and I told you, maybe they get in for districts, if not Eastern Conference. They're right there at number 8. They're gonna have to at least win two, if not three games down the stretch to have a shot. But if you would have told me week 5 that Liberty would be number one
Yeah.
in the rankings, I think I would have scratched my head. But this year, Liberty and Easton have been a pleasant surprise. Easton, big win over the weekend. Their head coach, Matt Seneca, had a medical medical issue on the sidelines that had to be taken out by a stretcher.
Wow.
The team rallied around him to pull off the tremendous win. He's doing fine. And we actually on D11 Sports will be broadcasting Easton's game this Friday. So I'm excited to see this program and see Coach Seneca. But I mean, right now, when you look at this 6A, I mean, you have to think Freedom has to be the clear favorite to win 6A districts. But I think Easton, Liberty, don't forget Parkland, Nazareth. I know,
Yeah.
Freedom beat both, but they're still dangerous teams.
Yeah, clearly. And so yeah, we'll definitely bring this back up again, maybe not next week, but week after, for our kind of tour around the power rankings through Eastern Pennsylvania there.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
it's gonna
good
be
stuff.
exciting, especially when it's probably going into week 8. We're gonna have a pretty good idea who might be moving forward.
Yeah, absolutely. So now we're going to get into a little bit of like our power rankings here. And you and I and our buddy Bob Long put together our power rankings, kind of grouped, in three categories. the first one here, 1A, 2A, and it looks pretty unanimous with Troy on top.
Yeah, and I have Riverside Southern Columbia, who has a tough game against Danville, which we'll touch a little bit later. Williams Valley, same thing. Big game coming up this weekend, with Schuylkill Haven. For the most, we all have pretty much
I don't have Southern
the same.
Columbia in there.
Well, I know you don't, and you guys have Lackawanna Trail, which is just
Yeah,
outside my top five.
yeah, right,
But
sure.
but but again, the rankings are nice. It matters the last week. You want to be number one week 16.
Yeah, I get that. I totally get that. So, all right, moving on to 3A, 4A. Um, yeah, I mean, I'm just saying, Penn Live ranked Twin Valley number one in the state today.
Yeah,
Um, and and I'm kind of comparing our rankings to what Penn Live had, only because they're kind of the state rankings, and they
yeah.
had Bonner like as number 8. We're obviously thinking Bonner is a lot better, than Penn Live. There, all of us have Twin Valley in there. You have them a little bit, lower in your rankings, than Dave and myself.
Yeah, and I'm just quick looking at Penn Live, but yeah, and listen, Bonner plays Roman Catholic. Roman just came off a tough loss to a very good
Yeah,
team from Maryland, and I know they're going to be very hungry. So this is going to be a good test for Bonner to see where they're at, in this game. But Bonner, they have a tough schedule. Not only, they're playing Roman, they got LaSalle down the road.
yeah,
They
right.
got St. Joe's Prep. So, I mean, I wouldn't be shocked if they have two, three losses by time the regular season's done.
Yeah.
But, they're going to be battle tested playing those type of programs.
Yeah, I talk about that all the time. I don't. Yeah, unfortunately, that's how the Philadelphia Catholic League works. There's really no classification. Everybody just plays everybody else, and whoever comes out on top comes out on top. Um,
Yeah.
it's a little bit better when it's basketball rather than football. But anyway, I like Bonner a lot, just like you guys. I'm not as much as you, but still, we all think Danville is pretty potent, and let's see, both Dave and I have why I'm missing, and then it looks like they're just beyond your top five there, Dave.
Yeah. Yeah. They are beyond my top five.
So moving up to the 5 and 6A, who we think here, it's kind of unanimous with St. Joe Prep. They clearly haven't played their best football this season thus far, but you know, now is I think where the juices really start to, not that they don't start flowing, but I mean, once they start to get into Philadelphia Catholic League play,
Yeah.
it really gets to crank up there. And, but we all feel that the depth of talent at St. Joe Prep, makes them pretty much the unanimous number one, right?
Yeah, I mean, until, we say that about Southern Columbia, until someone knocks them off, you have to, give them that respect. But Southern the past couple years have gotten a couple losses here and there in the regular season, but somehow find a way to put it all together and make that run. And St. Joe's Prep, they play these nationally ranked teams. They win a handful, they lose some, but it prepares them for, now they're going to start their Catholic League part of their schedule, I think, with Father Judge this week. And I think everyone's kind of eyeing that St. Joe's Prep LaSalle round one because we all know that round two will be coming in districts. So will
Yeah.
either team kind of show anything? Sometimes that doesn't happen, but um We'll see.
That's why I think that the October 19th game between St. Joe Prep and Roman Catholic is really, I think, that kind of the very interesting game because, as you said, um, the game for all the marbles in November will be between LaSalle and St. Joe Prep in 6A, or you never know. I mean, you've got
Well,
Imhotep there as well. I've got LaSalle in there, but also I'm trying to show the top teams that I think are going to advance, into the tournament. And that's why I've got, Prep,
mhm.
CB South. I think that, right now it's hard to say that they're not going to come out of a 6A in District 1. CD East, we just did the power rankings there in District 3. They're number 2, undefeated. That's the, Mid-Penn Commonwealth. Of their big tests come the last 2 weeks of the season. They play McDevitt and Harrisburg the last 2 weeks of the season. CD East could be 8-0, which is what I think that they will be going into the last couple of weeks. And then I'm the only one like giving Freedom any love here.
Hey, listen, Freedom's in my top 10, and they deserve it. I mean, they beat Parkland, they beat Nazareth. Down the road, their last two games they got Easton Liberty. But listen, the big four in District 12, St. Joe's, LaSalle, uh, Roman, and Emotep. Um, they're going to play each other a lot in the regular season, and that's going to prepare these teams that whoever makes out of their district, I think they're going to be ready to make a run to Cumberland Valley and try to win that gold.
I hope that what the fans got out of this whole, exercise that we went through, going through the districts and then kind of moving up, to our power rankings, is the depth of talent or the depths of each particular, um, classification by district this year just seems to be remarkable. Dave, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree. And you could say the same for District 7 out in the West. I
Sure.
know you talk to your buddy Ian, but listen, every year they're at least putting four teams, if not five, into the finals. So, out west, I think all these other districts out there, their goals, how can we beat District 7? In 5A, except for last year, you know, District 7's won a few in a row in 5A, but this year I think Roman, they're on a mission. So it'll be interesting to see what happens.
Yeah, it really is. And I would highly recommend everybody tuning into the WPIL Blitz show that I have. It's on demand out there on YouTube right now. Um,
Yeah,
but take a look at that. I mean, the depth of talent in 5A and 4A out there. Oh my gosh, it's
yeah,
incredible. I think that there could be some work on the 6A side, but 5A and 4A, and then also 2A and 1A out there are just, you still got Fort Cherry that is going to be, I
yeah,
mean, they made it
really
to the
good.
championship game,
Yeah,
last year. And Clareton just seems to be a juggernaut. Highly recommend everybody tuning into the WPIL Blitz show. It's out there on YouTube on demand, because ultimately we're all going to meet in Cumberland Valley, and it's good to, take a look at that. That's for sure.
absolutely.
All right, so we are going to uh, bring back our little presentation here and move on to the games of note here in week 6. Um, I've got Central York at Dallastown as the top game. It's only top in the fact that it's at the top of the list.
Hmm.
Doing my research on this, neither one of these teams has beaten a team with a winning record. Central York or Dallastown. Now, Central York lost at Manheim Township.
Yeah, yeah, pretty handily,
All of the
28-10.
right, but all of the wins by Central York and Dallastown nobody has a winning record to date. So this is going to be very interesting. I'm uh and it's at Dallas Town. It's a tough place to play. I've broadcasted a couple games there. They don't like one another. That's going to be a tough one, Dave.
Yeah, I mean, Central York, the quarterback, Brooklyn Nace, he's almost at 1,000 yards passing, 11 touchdowns. He's a guy to keep eye on. Their running back, love his name, Legend Johnson.
Yeah,
He seems to be their go-to guy for running. And they have three guys that have 12 catches or more. Their top receiver, Brandon Smith, 28 catches, almost 360 yards receiving. Um, they have weapons. But looking at three of the games they've pitched shutouts, so they're also doing it on the defensive side. In their last 2 weeks, two back-to-back shutouts. But you're right, Dallas Town's really tough at home. Cody Kisner, their quarterback, over 800 yards passing, five touchdowns. Mike Scott, running back. And again, they have three receivers. Jalen Cook's their main receiver, 10 catches, almost 400 yards receiving.
yeah.
He's averaging 37.7 yards a catch,
That's
five touch
ridiculous.
and 10 of his uh five of his catches went for touchdowns. So half of his catches, went, for touchdowns. So obviously he's a big play player, and I think this will be a fun game. Could be a back and forth game, could be a little defensive game at times, but I might give the home team a slight edge in this game, but this will be a fun one to watch.
It really will. Look, clearly both of these teams, I think, on a path to get to the postseason, because 10 teams, we just showed that 10 teams make it in 6A here in District 3. But yeah, when I talked to Coach Janchuk at the York Adams media day, he actually was just lauding his defense more than his offense. So, you hit the nail on the head with talking about their defense. Going to be really interesting. That's toss up game in
Yeah.
my view, and I guess with any Schuylkill Haven game, take the
Hmm.
over, right?
Yeah, I mean, again, 57 points, 77, 59, 72. They're just on fire offensively. They'll just try to outscore you. Their running attack combined 2,100 yards rushing so far, 33 touchdowns. And you know what? The other side, passing, they're under 100 yards passing in the season with one touchdown. So obviously, you know what they're coming. They're going to line up, they're going to hand the ball off
Yeah.
and dare the defense to stop them because they really don't throw. If a team could stop them, you have a shot. And this team, Williams Valley, 5-0. Impressive wins against Minersville, Nativity, we talked about,
Yeah.
Tri-Valley, some pretty good programs, and they're led by their quarterback, Brady Shumper, almost 800 yards passing, 11 touchdowns, only three interceptions. He also rushes for over 300 yards. So the kid could do it on, run it, pass it. And then their freshman running back, oh my God, what a sensation this kid is. Fletcher Thomas, almost 600 yards rushing already, five touchdowns. So, um, I think Williams Valley's more balanced where they could run and throw, where Schuylkill Haven's just going to line up, pound that ball, wear them down, and just run, run, run. But again, I wouldn't
Oh,
doubt if I would take the over if I was a
yeah.
betting man, and this could be a high scoring, back and forth affair. I'll tell you what, these Schuylkill Haven kids, they gotta be in good shape because man, they've been in some, they've been running the ball a lot these past weekends.
Yeah, I mean, just ridiculous numbers, but good for Mike Farr, and that's going to be one whale of a game. Another incredible game this week. Downingtown West travels to Westchester Ruston.
Yeah, and
Both
we
teams
have this game.
undefeated.
Yep.
Ruston, they're tough at home. I mean, saw them play last year at home. I mean, they really great tradition there. Um, this is a 6A versus 5A. You know, usually that the advantage. I always say there's a reason why there's six classifications, but Ruston can mix it up with the best of them. Dave, what do you think on this one?
Yeah, I mean, Rustin, no secret, they're going to run the ball. Um, they're going to try to keep that good Downington West offense on the sidelines. If they could control the clock with Ryan Loper and Chase Hatton, they're going to be in this game. But it's going to be a fun game, battle of 5-0 teams. We'll be there covering the game. We'll try to get a reporter to come on next week and talk about this game. But this is going to be one that, if you're a fan, you're in the
Oh
area,
my God.
go see this game. This is going to be a great game.
And Southern Columbia at Danville. We have a thing in the Whippeal podcast called Panic Button. And I think if Southern loses this game, I think you might have to start pressing the panic button. Uh, Danville, as a 3A school, I mean, obviously bigger in that. Boy, I tell you what, this is really, I think, a benchmark for both teams. What do you think, Dave?
Yeah, and going into this game, yeah, you got to give Danville the edge in this game. Um, You look at Southern, they lose week one, come back, two impressive wins, lose a tight game against Mount Carmel 7-6, come back, impressive win against Southern or Central Columbia. This is a team that, they may have a hiccup, but they just come right back. They have three running backs over 200 yards rushing. Their top receiver, Blaze, Kissinger, 14 catches, almost 200 yards receiving, and their quarterback, over 600 yards passing, 11 touchdowns, only two interceptions. But you look at the big three for Danville, uh, Madden Patrick, almost 1,000 yards passing, 11 touchdowns,
Oh
one
God,
interception. And then you have
that's
their star running back, Bo Sheptock, over 800 yards rushing, 13 touchdowns. The receiver, Cole Duffy, 22 catches, almost 600 yards, receiving six touchdowns. So they have weapons. Again, this could be back and forth, but I do like Danville to win this game. Yeah, it does. It may hurt Southern in the standings a little bit, but again, a 3A versus 2A. I think Southern will make districts, and then from there, you never know.
yeah, sure. All you look, you just need to get in. I mean,
Yeah.
the idea is just to get in because you never know what's going to happen.
Because
We've
listen, people counted them out last year,
yeah,
and coach used that to fuel that team. And look what happened, another state title.
yeah,
So you
right.
can
And an improbable state title, even coming down to that final drive to win it.
yes. And you know what? Until someone knocks them off in districts or states, you have to think that Southern might be at Cumberland Valley.
Yeah.
But we'll
And
see.
yeah, and we talked a little bit, touched on this. Roman Catholic at Bonner Prendy. I think everybody is, picking Roman. I mean, obviously, a talent laden squad, um, against Bonner. But you cannot discount these rivalry games. in the Philadelphia Catholic League. And, it is a road game for Roma. Not that that really matters because they don't
Nah.
necessarily have their own home field. But um, this one could be a real knockdown drag out, literally. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, you look at who Roman played, yeah, they played Newman Goreta. Um, they played three teams outside Pennsylvania, St. John's College, A. Philip Randolph in New York, and then,
I mean,
national power
DeMatha, right?
DeMatha, who, listen, they put it to a very good Roman team, 49-12. But I think this game, you have to favor Roman in this game. They're coming off a loss. They're very hungry. They know what they have ahead to play. Um, this will be a good test for Bonner to see where they're at. But in the end, I like Roman to win this game, and Samaj Beals,
Yeah,
1,200 yards
he's the real
passing.
deal, that's for sure.
Yeah, 17 touchdowns, two interceptions. The kid is just putting up unbelievable numbers, highly recruited. They're gonna go as far as he takes them.
Wow. And that was kind of our look ahead. And wow, I mean, what a jam-packed show this was. I'll tell you what, we went through an awful lot. I mean, we talked about a ton of teams and players this week. Incredible stuff, Dave. I mean, the type of research and the type of teams that we've got, the type of races, on
Yeah.
a district level by classification. I mean, we went through it all. I'll tell you what, it got me fired up.
Yeah, and again, we're in week 6. We'll be looking at those ratings, especially when it gets around that week 8, 9, going in 10. And listen, some districts, they're done by week 8, week 9. They're starting their district playoffs, like District 12. So we'll be talking about that, and we got a lot of stuff. We're gonna have some reporters come in next week. We'll try to get a coach come in next week, but this week we kind of just wanted to go over all this data
Yeah, get all
and
the teams.
um
Wow.
and we'll be throwing a lot at you, and hopefully it's not too overwhelming, but we're just trying to give you a good uh idea of what's going on all over Eastern PA.
And easternpafootball.com, the place to find all this stuff. You have that great page that we were accessing all of the power rankings, all of our reporting, all the schedules, all the stats, all the top performers. Holy cow, Dave. I mean, how much stuff can you fit on that website?
Always more, but yeah, listen, we obviously we try to get some of the top games each week, but our goal during the regular season's trying to cover as many teams as we can throughout the year. Because when districts and states come, yeah, you may cover a team, 4 or 5 times, if not more, all the way to Cumberland Valley. So, we try to do the best that way. But yeah, I mean, it's hard to believe week 6 is here.
Yeah, hard to believe week 6. And just and we really kind of get into Penn State football coverage now with the Big Ten season starting. We kind of got those practice games, kind of got those practice games behind it. Now the Big Ten season starts. I'll be up at State College this week, starting this week for all the Big Ten games and providing in-game reports and pictures and everything else. So adding to the menu will be Penn State coverage here starting this week. It's not really a whiteout; it's just kind of a primetime game against Illinois, but they're saying everybody wear white. I don't know. I'm interested to see what kind of a reception they get on that.
Yeah,
But
so it should be exciting and um we'll have some high school mainly, but little college football in it too.
yeah, absolutely. Well, listen, Dave, thank you so much for all you did on this show. I'm glad that, I mean, it was like you said, jam packed with data. And next week we'll get back into more of our interviews with our guys on the ground at Eastern PA football, plus coaches. You never know, we might do more than one. So listen, thanks for tuning in to all of our fans here. And we're live at 7:30 every Tuesday, but on demand anytime on YouTube. For my buddy Dave Mika, I'm Bruce Badgley. Listen, thanks for tuning in to Fresh Set of Downs presented by EasternPAFootball.com. Until next week, so long, everybody.